So when I was 50, I thought I'll have a DNA test, and that'd be really interesting. And perhaps it'll help to prove whether the research that I've undertaken over the preceding years has been accurate, whether I've made the right assumptions when I've chosen which lines to follow. So that really was where DNA entered my life. I thought it would help me to prove that the family that I'd already found were right, and that actually was something that was quite important for us, because I ought really to tell you at this point about Ruth Hadley. So my mum's mum, Christabel, her mum was Teresa Hadley, and Teresa had a sister named Ruth, and they were a very infamous family in Wolverhampton, because in the early 1900s Ruth was murdered by her lover. He shot her, and she staggered out and fell in the snow and bled into the snow, and it was highly dramatic. There was then a big court case, and it made national news. In fact, it was so famous that 50 years later, somebody actually wrote a book about Ruth Hadley and her murder. So we were very interested when we were researching that part of the family history. I can remember going to St Catherine's House and finding my Nana's mum's birth certificate. Do you remember those great big indexes that you would heave out of the shell? She was born in Wolverhampton. We found her birth, sent off for her birth certificate, and then drew up her family tree based on that certificate. Found the censuses for the family. Found Teresa and her mum and dad and her brothers and sisters, but no Ruth. We never found Ruth, and really that nagged at my mother all the time. Where's Ruth? Why isn't she on the census with her brothers and sisters, and why can't I find her birth certificate? At some point, Mum met a man named Philip who lived in the New Forest, who was also descended from this Hadley family, and she got quite matey with him and his wife, and I remember that she went to stay with him at least a couple of times. Anyway, it was probably about 20 years later when we found out the horrible, horrible truth that there were two Teresa Hadleys born in Wolverhampton in the same year, and we'd got the birth certificate of the wrong one. So when we did finally get the right one and put her family history together, there was Ruth, just where she should be, on the censuses and with her family. And my poor mother had to tell Philip that she wasn't even anything to do with him at all, despite having been to stay with him and his wife on several occasions. A nightmare. So I thought, well, DNA, if does nothing else, should help me to see that we haven't made that mistake anywhere else in the family tree.